So we are talking about structured student talk using technology. And again, I'm so excited that there's like over 20 people here to talk about it, because this is like one of my favorite things, is getting students to talk, and how we can bring technology into that piece is like my bread and butter. I love talking about this stuff. So some session norms today. This is your guys' session. So we're going to do a 45-minute deep-ish dive into these tech tools, but this is your place to ask questions, to make sure you're participating positively, and then I'm always available for extra support. So if you need more time with this, we can schedule one-on-one meetings. I can come to your PLCs. We can do whatever you need to do to make it work. So I love coming to school sites and to like visiting people. So please reach out if you need extra support on this, or want me to come to your PLCs, like during your Wednesday collaborations or during your PLC pullout days. I would love to talk more about this stuff. So for today's goals, we kind of have two sessions going on today. So during our deepish dive sessions, we're going to navigate and utilize tech tools for structured student talk implementations. We're going to apply practical strategies for implementing these tools. And then during our sandbox time, our goal is going to be to create and modify one lesson plan or one strategy that we do in the classroom to incorporate these SST tech tools. And again, the emphasis is going to be like starting small, starting easy, and then gradually building that complexity into it. So I think we all know the benefits of structured student talk, but we're using technology. So instead of just the benefits of actually incorporating technology into our structured student talk, for me as a classroom teacher, it was that engagement piece. Everybody must participate, and it holds them accountable. So I was getting really frustrated walking around the room and having kids get into groups or get into pair shares, and if I'm on one side of the room, those kids are actively engaged in the discussion, but the other side of the room, they were like talking about like the game Friday night or like whatever. So like I got really like annoyed with like having to like constantly go back and forth and having kids varying levels of engagement with it. So bringing technology into it ensures that everybody is engaged and that they're all being held accountable. So I can view this student work, and I can also assess the student work and actually grade structured student talk on my own time, or like without it being fully present for that conversation, and hold kids accountable that way. So bringing technology into it also allowed me to assess them on their structured student talk as well. And then for kids too, this is a lot of kids feel less pressure. If they're doing a class presentation, we know kids can get very nervous, like standing in front of a classroom and being able to do it in a timely manner. And so the ability to stop and to think and be able to read and to kind of take things a little bit more at their own pace and kind of build up those speaking skills is also really important for students. Now, before I go any further, if you've been to my presentations before, you probably have seen this. This image itself is probably about 10 years old. It's old. If you look at the wrong answers, like Prezzies and Wordles and Animotos, those aren't even like really around anymore. And that totally illustrates my point up here. Technology, when we talk about incorporating technology into the classroom, technology is not the learning outcome that we want. What we want is the skills that students gain from using technology. So in this case, we want students to be having conversations. We want them to be talking to one another. We want them to be able to verbalize and like advocate for themselves. So that's why we're using the technology here. Our goal is not to make amazing presentations or to produce videos even. Our goal is to have the students have the skills. And so I actually still like using this image, even though it's like 10 years old and like Prezzies and Wordles and Animotos like aren't really around anymore, because it really illustrates that the tech is going to change over time, as we have seen. The tech changes constantly. Companies go under. One of the reasons that inspired me to do this presentation is that we no longer have Flipgrid or a Flip, as it was previously known. Microsoft did away with that. And so the technology is constantly going to be changed. And so we really need to making sure that we're focusing on the skills that students are learning and not necessarily what they're doing. So technology is the tool, not the learning outcome. We first need to think about what skills we want students to be having, and then how we can use technology to incorporate that. So with that, today we're going to do on kind of a deep-ish dive. We're not going to go too deep into any one of these programs. We just don't have time. This is kind of like a mini slam within a slam presentation. I'm going to give you a little kind of array, a little like buffet of choices, like a little appetizers that we can use with these tools that we're probably already using in the classroom. And talk about how we can be incorporating audio and video into these tools that we're already using. So kind of the goal for today is to really kind of hit an array of tools that we might be using in the classroom, and then hopefully one of these sticks with you and we can go into a deeper dive with it during the sandbox time. But what we're going to cover today is, I put the Google Classroom logo here, but it's kind of a misnomer. It's really Google Vids and Google Slides that we're going to be talking about, but like through Google Classroom and implementing through Google Classroom. Then one of my favorite apps is Canva, and so how using Canva with it. Then Cami, how we can be incorporating videos within Cami and Formative. And then if we have time today, we'll also be talking about Screencastify and Adobe Express, because there are some fun things we can do. Screencastify has kind of has created a video thing that's similar to Flip as kind of like their response to Flip going away. So we'll talk about that. And then Adobe Express has some fun things that I think would be really fun for students to use as well. So what we're going to do today is, because we are going a little bit more fast-paced with today, I have some sessions on the Google Classroom, so I can put the link on the chat here. So all of these are also linked on the slides. I like to have multiple ways of getting resources. So all of the templates and stuff that we're using today is also linked into the slides, but the Google Classroom, I have it assigned so that we can have things going, or like you can just immediately go to the assignment and you're not having to search for it, and we can practice using the tools in that format. So I'll go ahead and go on to Google Classroom. So you can click the link to join the Google Classroom that's in the chat, or you can join with the join code. All right, and I see a couple people have joined. Class not found. Mimi, try clicking the link in the chat. It should take you directly to there. It's weird, the class, it might be a typo too, because I took a screenshot of the class code, but I'm gonna make sure. Yeah, the link. Okay, that's weird. The link, let me try the link again.
Class comes up, Amber. I got it.
It does come up?
Well,
okay.
It says SST using technology.
Yes.
Winner Slam. I got it.
Okay, cool. I put in maybe the class code. Maybe I had try the link that I just put in the classroom.
I just typed in the code from the screen.
Okay, cool. I think maybe the link before was a wrong link. So I put in a new link with their class code works. Maybe refresh to see how many people. All right, there we are. I was like, there's only 2 people. I need to refresh. Okay, class code works. The new link should also work that's in there. So thanks for letting me know, as always. Okay, I'll give another 30 seconds to join in. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on, let me share my tab and just kind of talk about the Google Classroom. This isn't, usually I like to create new banners and everything, and I didn't do that this time. But I want to draw your attention to the classwork. So each part of these sections today has its own like section here, its own topic here. And within it, the slide specific to that tutorial is found under the templates and tutorial. So I like to try to provide as many ways to access the resources as possible. So you're not having to dig around slides. You can do that way. Now, with that said, some of the student examples in particular, links don't work in a PDF format. So for those, you have to go to the presentation slides that are here. But most of the tutorial videos and slides have clickable things on here. But it's the same information that is found in the presentation slides that are also linked here. So jumping right into it, let me make sure. So first, we're going to start with Google Classroom stuff and with vids and slides. Now, the reason I actually wasn't going to include Google stuff in this presentation until about 2 weeks ago as I was looking through things. And when I went to hit create an assignment, I found when you hit create here, there's this new Google Vids thing. And so it took me down this rabbit hole, this break about what the heck this is. So with that, first let's start with, so that kind of led me into this rabbit hole of what Google stuff is. Before we get to vids though, let's start with this Great Listen example. So if you click on Great Listen example, it will take you to this Great Listen notebook. Now, this is just with this Great Listen notebook, this was something that an assignment that I did in slides. Now, I took out all of the extra stuff that I had in this notebook. This was a project that my kids worked on for an entire week, and each day had its slides. I took out all the extra stuff. So if you want to see that, it's linked up in the slides under the templates so that you can see more of it, of what this is. Or I have like click here for the full notebook, and you can click there and see the entire notebook of what we did. But one of the things, when I saw that we could start recording in slides, I was like, man, this would have been so much easier if I had this like a couple years ago. Because one of the great things that I love doing with my students is having them interview each other and then interviewing other people, so like their family members and things like that. So my classes usually participate in StoryCorps' The Great Thanksgiving Listen. And what this is, I've done a whole session on the Great Thanksgiving Listen. I think it is an amazing, amazing project. But what it is, it's paired with like NPR and StoryCorps, and it encourages students to go out and interview family members and to record their stories. Now, StoryCorps has their own app, and which I've encouraged students to do, but I've found a lot of students are really shy about having things like saved elsewhere. And so I always gave them the option of different stuff. Now, with being able to record directly into slides, I don't even have to have a third-party app anymore. I could have them record directly into here. And so example with that is looking on slide 2 for Wednesdays is that we would have partner interviews. So how I would normally do this is I would have students record using Flipgrid. So it was a pain in the butt for me as a teacher of having to look at their notebooks and then having to go to Flipgrid, make sure that they did it. You couldn't get it here. Okay, let me just share. I'll share it here too and see. Oh, okay, let me fix that. Once we do our deep dive, let me fix that and see what's going on with that to see if for the Great Listen example. In case you're talking about like the actual assignment, I'll click on that. Oh, if you were on an outside network, it's probably not going to work because it needs to be inside. I'll put up all the links for all these assignments in here too. You can also access them on the slides as well. So if you're not on your school network, that's probably what it is. But yeah, okay. So if it's not there, I'll make sure to share everything here in case you're on an outside network, but that's probably what's happening. Okay, so with that, with this, one of the things that we can do is we could have students I would have them record their conversations and they have a practice round. Now, instead of having them go to Flip, I can have them record directly in Google Slides. So how to do this is up on the top right-hand corner, you'll see this view and create recorded slideshows. Hit record, and you can record a new video. It's probably going to ask you to allow a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to allow. And now we'll see we're in this like recording screen. So I have this little thing popped up. Now it is assuming that you are recording this presentation. So one cool thing about this is I can actually go through the slides and record. So if I'm having students do a presentation, they can now record their entire presentation and be able to move slides and record the slides with it. So I can click start recording. Before I do that, we can see that I have 30 minutes of recording time available. That's a lot of time for students, but we don't have to worry about like 5-minute limits or anything like that. You have up to 30 minutes in Google Slides. Then I can go ahead and click record. It's going to ask me to allow stuff, give me a countdown. And now I am recording this and I have this presentation. And again, I can click through the slides. So if I'm talking about Wednesday, I can then talk about Thursday or whatever and be able to record directly here. Once I am done, we can also turn on camera blur too. So if you have a lot of like, whenever I did Flip in the classroom, you'd always see like everybody else in the background. So we can also turn in camera blur too to kind of blur the background for students as well and be able to have things that way. We also have the capability of opening up speaker notes here. So I can, what you're not seeing because it's a new tab that opened up, but I have audience tools and speaker notes also that students can utilize and put there as well. So then I can go ahead and stop my recording. Then if I feel happy with it, I can save to drive or I can re-record this. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. And it is showing up there. It's going to be processing and putting in here. So it's just processing. It's going to take a minute to process. And now I can click on it. So I'm in my slides recording. I haven't changed anything here. And now I can open it up and see it through there. I can see that I have one video that has been recorded right here. And then I can also insert this into my slides by going to Insert, Video, going to my Google Drive, and going to Recent. So I'm going to go ahead and insert that in. And now I am recording this and I have this presentation. And again, I can click through the slides. So if I'm, okay, I was like, who has a question? And then I realized it's just myself talking. Okay, so I have this video kind of this like embedded in here. And now I can have this. For me as a teacher, this is so much easier than having to go to a different place. I hated having to go side by side of like, okay, do they have their assignment? Now I have their recording and having it all kind of in different places. Now I can record it directly into Google and have it directly into there. So this is also great for like those science. I know a lot of science teachers are using it for like science presentations and things like that. Just having those recording directly through there. This is also really great for shared learning. So you can have students become like a little mini expert on their piece of whatever content that you're doing, maybe have a whole class slides and have them be able to record and share their knowledge that way within Google Slides. Carolyn.
So really quick, I think I got your directions because I'm jumping on this immediately for our presentations. But I wanted to double check on steps, and I apologize if I'm taking time. I promise I will go fast. So once the student has recorded, do they have to go back and then insert, which is what you did? They had to go back in and insert the clip into the same file?
Yes. So they'll go into, so it will show like under the recording here, it shows that I have one recorded slideshow within here. And I don't think we can, I was like trying to get it, it won't move into here. So if you want the video actually to be shown here, then go to Insert Video and you can find it in your Google Drive.
Okay. But how you were flipping through the pages, it won't do it that way. Like, because as you know, for us, I'm sorry to waylay, like for help, they'll be doing for example, a drug presentation, and they'll be talking about a specific drug or a specific thing, just as you're doing, and you're going through the different pages, where you were over in the far corner. That effect doesn't still come through that way?
It's not going to flip the pages for you. It's just going to give you the video. What I would do is, what I would do, like if I'm doing a presentation, kids are building the presentation, I would designate a spot where I want their video to be put. So I would say, like, insert your interview here.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would just create a spot on their presentation and be like, the first page or whatever needs to be your video. And then I would probably just watch the video and watch them present. And then if I had any questions, I would be looking at their presentation, but I would mostly be looking at the video.
Well, we also do it as part of the class presentation. So it's a way for them to get a easy way of presenting, instead of having to do it for the whole class. It's kind of again, an easy way to ease into presenting. So I just was so excited when I saw this as an easy tool, because we do everything in Google Slides. So this is phenomenal. So I'm sorry, I don't want to take too much time. Thank you.
No, I love questions. And I think this is a great way, like what you said, for shared learning. So if every kid gets their slide, or if you have a slide deck of like, insert your presentation and your video here with links to it, you can have like shared learning throughout. And I think that's so cool to have like a class set of shared learning with it. Really great with that. And we could like spend, again, these are going to be the very, very small service level step with it, but going back into it. So that is a Google Slides. Now, again, what kind of brought me back to Google was seeing this create assignment, and then looking and seeing that vids. And I'm like, what the heck is vids? Why is it an assignment? And what vids is, if you click on the essay, project, presentation, and reflection, vids is their answer to Google Video, or like their video presentations. And so it's very similar to slides. And in the sense that it's like kind of how we set it up, it's similar, but it's different. On the side here, you have a toolbar, and I kind of put it here so that you can kind of see which one it is. Now, one thing that you probably don't have, and this is kind of a curiosity I have more than anything, is you probably don't have this AI image creator yet. That may or may not be coming. So vids in outside of education world is really trying to be like an AI thing too. But I haven't played much and explored much with their AI bits of it. With the education, it's a little bit more limited just because we're playing it very safe with AI and that, but that's kind of what it's being marketed as when I went to do a little bit more research on vids, like outside of education with it. But what vids is we can actually create kind of these slides and videos all in one. And so I thought it would be really cool, or like ways that we can kind of like Google's answer to Flipgrid, and kind of like making vids really easy. So these would be really great for things that you want students to speak about, but you don't necessarily want them to share with the whole class. Because when you assign it to Google Classroom, there's not really a good way to make it easily accessible to all. So I think this would be really great for like reflective pieces. I created this assignment because one of the ways I think we can kind of combat AI a little bit and talk about AI is having students be able to do a summary of their essays after the essay is due. And so this is kind of like my messing around with like how we might be able to build a video on that. But with this, you should be able to click where it says like essay video topics. I put in the comments what I would like students to do. So write a list of your key ideas that are in the essay, and then have them record a video. They can record directly here and record a video directly into it, summarizing their essay. Or if you want them to do like an introduction of themselves, this could also be a really great way of like, tell me 5 facts about you, tell me whatever. So this is kind of a way that we can kind of build in that structured student talk, but we may not necessarily want to share it out to everybody yet. Or just to kind of create assignment with that structured student talk. So if you want to play with it, you can record the video. You can also select videos. So if students have videos that they have from before, they can also edit it here. And then again, I think this would be really good for reflections. A lot of the times I would have my students at the end of the semester reflect on their semester, reflect on like their highs and lows of the semester, what they want to continue to work on, what grade they think they should get for the semester. And I used to do all of that in Flip, but now I could just assign it directly into Google Classroom and select the video there. So this is just another way, if you are interested in learning more about this, Google is like really kind of amping up their vids part of it and making it really easy to assign. This could also be something that you assign directly. You don't necessarily need to have a lot of guided instruction like I do with this vid. It could just be as simple as like put the instructions into Google Classroom and then have students record directly into there with the new vids. So wanted to share that because it is new. It is a new feature within Google Classroom with that to have. So if you're interested in doing that on your deep dive, feel free to start exploring to kind of going through all of that. With that, I'm going to switch gears and we're going to move into one of my favorite things, and that is Canva. And so Canva has ways that we can record directly into videos. So I know a lot of us are also using Canva. So I think we can again, I'm trying to like get us like tools that we're already using and talk about how we can record directly into there. So the first one I want to draw your attention to is the soapbox speeches. And it's going to give you a template. So I'm going to go ahead and once you get to this template, go ahead and edit template. Now, how I usually use Canva in the classroom, which I know is also scary to a lot of people, but a lot of times I would assign whole slide decks for the class. So this particular assignment is set up as a whole slide deck. I assigned it as individuals for you guys. Usually when I assign this out, I would just give the shared link for the period for the class slides, and then each student would pick a slide that they would work on. For this, I have you guys create your own template, so feel free to mess with it, to explore with it, to do whatever you want. You're not messing up anybody else's. But most of the time when I would share these out, I would actually share these out as a whole slide deck. And how there's a couple reasons that I do that is, one, I want students to be seeing each other's work. I do not want to be the only person to see my students' work. I really want to try to build a classroom culture of where we are viewing each other's, where multiple eyes are onto their work. And so that we can see each other's learning and to share the learning that way. I do a lot with this. So at the very beginning of the year, I kind of start small and I will share a slide deck. We'll start with partner interviews or something very small and low stakes. And I'm very on top of any wayward students that are starting to draw stuff and things. And so I'm very, very strict about that at the beginning of the year. And usually towards the end of the year, I don't have to worry about as much. We can just rock and roll and be able to do this. But this is one of the ways, but this was an assignment that I would give out with our soapbox speeches. So my students also participate in Project Soapbox. And so they have a 2-minute speech about an issue that they are passionate about. So I included the teacher instructions on how we can record here, or the student instructions, teacher and student instructions on how to upload. But how I would have the students do this is they would pick their slide and then they would record their speech here. Now, how we do this in Canva, it's a little bit more hidden than it is for Google Slides. And how we do this is we go to Uploads. And when we get to Uploads, we see Record Yourself. And so for here, we have kind of a similar view that we had with Google. I can choose to have a camera or I can turn off the camera. I have my default mic. And then I can also do a screencast here. So if I'm working on a math problem, Canva, you can draw. And so if you could have students write out a math problem or illustrate their thinking that way. Then I would hit record. And just like Google Slides, I can go through. So if students created a presentation in Canva, they can be able to present that presentation directly through here. Then once I am done recording, I think I accidentally, I hit the wrong. Like Google, and then I'm going to go ahead and save and exit. And my little face bubble appears here, and I can drag it around and have it wherever I need it to go to. Now, some examples of this, let me open up my students' examples. I use this a lot in the classroom, and so one of the things that we can kind of see, and I'm going to, oh, I hit stop presenting instead of sharing the tab I want to share. Okay, here we go. So some student examples I have on the bottom of our slides here, and these are ones that the PDF didn't transfer, so you have to go to the slide presentation, go through. But as we can see, like I would have students, I was an Avid teacher, we would do tutorials every Tuesday and Thursday. To hold kids accountable for the tutorials, I started having them record their conversations. And so I would just make a simple slide that said which table they were on, and then they had their tables here.
All right, so we're starting our tutorials, and first we got Aaron.
And have them kind of go through it that way. I've had them.
What is story?
Okay, and a little trick with Canva too is you have to choose not to have the playback. And so let me show you. When you click on the video, click playback, and then toggle off the play automatically, or else you're going to get all of those like noise, things like that. So I would all have students and teach students to do this instead of remembering to do it myself. But with this, we would have all these student examples and be able to kind of go through and to record their own things here. And so this was a really great way for, especially for collaborative stuff, we can use Canva and to upload. One trick of the trade when using Canva is that this upload and record yourself is really only found in presentations. I tried doing this with whiteboard spaces, and I could not, students could not record themselves. So just be aware of that they can't record using that. Some other examples, if you guys want to, we're not going to go totally into it, but you can see those StoryCorps Iron Chef and those Avid tutorial examples with this. One thing I want to showcase with this one is that I really liked doing this, doing Canva and the whiteboard features, or during Canva and the presentations. Especially during, like in April, I got kicked out of my classroom because of testing, and so of AP testing. And so I needed a way for my kids to be able to do a whiteboard, to work out problems, and to go through all of that. And so using presentation mode, if you click on a slide and then click on these three dots here, you can actually expand to whiteboard, and now kids have an infinite whiteboard space that they can use within Canva, and they can still go to uploads and to record themselves and be able to hold them accountable for that conversation. So again, if you want to show presentations, if you want to kind of show any of that stuff, that's where you can kind of go through and kind of have students kind of work out the problems to work out those recordings within itself. And so an example of those tutorial spaces I have, again, on the slides down here.
You can actually click through and go through the slide.
Something is talking. I have it going through here, and so you can see my students using the slides as a whiteboard, and
slides
and going through and recording their conversations with that.
Slides. They can actually. And now I'm recording with.
And one of my videos is going, so I'm gonna skip Canva. Okay. But with Canva, like I said, it is a little tricky. Make sure that you hit that playback feature and toggle it off, or you're going to get all of those like confusing ones like I just did with that. All right. Any questions on any of that stuff so far? Everybody feeling good? There's a lot. All right. And then a couple more features I want to show looking at with Cami we've had for a long time. So again, if you want to click on the soapbox speech, there's some templates and stuff to work through. I'm going to open with Cami. All right. So once we're in Cami here, the video features and audio features are a little bit more hidden in Cami. And where we can find these is under comments. So if you click comments, you can choose text comment, voice comment, video comment, or screen capture. So again, if you are a math teacher, especially, and you want kids to think through it and to be able to draw through their problems or write out their equations or whatever, you can have them illustrate their thinking in a screen capture as well. Then they'll pick the color they want their little dot to be. And we can do video comments or voice comments here. So I'm going to click on video comment. Now, word of advice with Cami when we are doing this, with the video comment or the audio comment, as soon as you click wherever you want your dot to go, it's going to start recording. So you don't get a fun countdown. It's going to start right away. So I'm going to go ahead and click on a space here. And now I can see I have my picture within picture here. And it is recording. So I'm 9 seconds into the recording. What you guys can't see on the screen is there's another video that's popped up and it's recording me. I'll click done, and then you'll see my lovely picture here. And we have a picture here where we can go through and to go through it. So I really like, again, a low stakes way. If you're already using Cami, make use of these features and make use of these voice comments and these audio comments and all of these things. This is also great as a teacher because if I'm using Cami, I can use those screen captures or those voice comments and really talk to students versus having to write everything out or type everything out for my comments. It makes it a lot faster to use the voice comments if I want to give them feedback on their work directly. So I can use this as a teacher as well. And within Google Classroom, if you have the Cami app installed, you can actually have the full features of Cami within Google Classroom. So as you're grading here, again, not having to go to another place, it's all within there. It's all within one place here. I also liked the other examples that I have with Cami here, the templates, is I also really like, I'm a big group work person, and so I have it here as well. Open with Cami here. And so this is an example of where I would have students work on the work here, kind of jigsaw it a little bit. Each person takes their own part. And then at the end, they would record their conversation and be able to like have a recorded conversation doing kind of like mini Socratic seminar style with that. And so again, using the tools that we already use, we can embed that all directly in there with it. And so that was with comments. All right. We're covering a lot. I'm going to do one more, and then we are going to take another break. So I know there's like brain load going on. The last one I want to showcase right now, and then we'll take a break and do our sandbox time and really explore and have time to kind of play with at least one of these tools, and that is Formative. So I'm going to go ahead and log into Formative. Share this tab. Now, one thing I purposely did not do this earlier. One of the annoyances I have about Formative is that you have to resync every time somebody joins your class. So I had assigned this to you guys before I had students in Google Classroom. So now I'm going to go to classes. And I'm going to find this class, which is this one. As you can see right now, I have 0 students. So I have to go to the 3 dots here and Google Classroom Resync. And now I have to individually. Oh, you guys are all teachers. Oh no, I think it did something weird. Okay, well, that's a learning experience for me. So usually you guys could be students of the class, but it looks like you guys are all added as teachers. Oh, I love it when tech changes slightly in the middle of a presentation. Oh, well, I'll show you Formative real quick, and then I'll give you guys where you guys can actually access it. Let me show you guys. Formative knows and is recognizing you guys as teachers, and so it's not allowing you guys to be added as students in the class. So with that, Let me just show you what the formative feature is real quick, and then I will make it up during our break and access it. So with using technology within formative, let me go back, SummerSlam. Okay. And let me preview as a student. First, let me take off. Okay. Sorry, I need to switch to student page mode so I can show you guys. So we're going to preview this as a student with Formative, and then I will make sure you guys have the links to this because I didn't realize Formative was going to recognize you as students or as teachers and not as students and not be able to do this. So within Formative, we have a couple ways that we can use this. One, listening skills are super important. So within Formative, we can actually embed audio and things directly into it. So we're not limited to the text with it. So when I create my questions, I can actually go through and add in audio responses here, all with these kind of enriched features. So I can add in audio directly, record audio directly. I can add in videos or files or any of those things as well. And then for students, what students can actually do is they can also record audio or video responses as well. And with those video responses, we have, and I'm not sure why, I need to talk to Formative, but it switches over to Spanish when I have this, but I can record video directly, I can submit a video, or I can do a screen record directly within Formative as well, or start audio recording. So a lot of the times what I would have students do is physically write down whatever summary I want them to do, and then start an audio recording and speak their paragraphs. This is also really great. You could have students explain in a screen recording a math problem and be able to analyze a math problem that way. So lots of different ways that we can use it. But again, we can have, using the things that we're already using, embed audio and video recordings so we're not having to reinvent the wheel or go to another place with it. All right, with that said, I want to honor our break time, so I'm going to get us on to our break. But there are two more things that are on here that we can explore during the sandbox time, and I want to just kind of point out. So with the Screencastify, Screencastify has a kind of flip-ish type of version, so it's more than just like recording, like how I usually use it, recording presentations and things like that for the screen, but we can actually have students respond directly there too. And then we also have Adobe Express, which has a lot of fun features that we can explore during the sandbox time. But I do want to honor your guys' break with that. And so we have about a 15-minute break right now. I just shared a lot of stuff. And so we can return at 11:01. And I just talked a lot at you guys, and so this next sandbox time is going to be explore, deep dive, pick one of those tools and create a lesson with it. And so it's a chance to ask questions. So come back at, actually, since it's 42 or 47, 11:02, and we'll start with our sandbox time. Same link, so you don't need to go anywhere else. Just stay in the session, and then I'll give you the new sign in for the sandbox time.